So one of the challenges, and this goes back to your issues with biodiesel and biodiesel feedstock coming in from Malaysia, feeding European markets, was really the lack of data. Lack of data, lack of impact, lack of understanding of what is this need. And then as you've seen the transition over the last several years, when you're looking at the impact of carbon footprinting on the corporate side, whether it's a company's scope 1, 2, or 3 dynamics, anywhere in the world, including US companies, this is a corporate dynamic that has taken its own kind of pathway. The biggest challenge in that space is also data. So data and verification and MRV that exist has impacted corporate reporting with regards to investing and reducing their carbon footprint today. For example, a company that buys renewable power, renewable energy credits, things of that nature, they don't have full traceability into full carbon footprint life cycle in that, and yet they're representing certain things with regards to decarbonization. Companies that are buying biodiesel, predominantly in the European theater, rapeseed, palm oil, things of that nature, feed into that. The true carbon footprint of palm oil from Malaysia actually has a higher carbon footprint than running gasoline from an oil field in the United States. So because of the negative impact it has on the deforestation. So once you start datafication of that, you create pathways that open up. So to answer your question, this has been a problem that's been going on for over 20 years. The datafication and acknowledgement and how do you truly look at the life cycle of carbon footprinting is in every product, whether you're producing steel to green steel, whether you're producing biofuels to go to SAF, it's understanding that process. So when we're datafying the rainforest and the Amazon, we're really building out an ecosystem of understanding the biodiversity, understanding the watershed, understanding the carbon footprinting, even going down, and I'll push Jay on this eventually, even going down to soil carbon DNA dynamics, is all of that data and information is invaluable. When you think of the trillion-dollar industry around the datafication of biometrics and human biome, that's an enormous market. When you datafy the rainforest and understand what creates biodiversity, what creates an ecosystem that is balanced with right watershed, then you have the ability to monetize that data, take it to other reforestation projects, very high quality credits, very high quality biodiversity credits, because as Jay was saying earlier, why is the market challenged with carbon credits as a pure example? It's lack of data. And the regulatory agencies were telling companies around the world that, oh, nature-based preservatives or reforestation credits or other credits may or may not qualify for your decarbonization targets is a function of lack of data. So this doesn't just impact the Amazon, it does create a MRV, if you want, a database of information that is super valuable, not only to replicate and deploy in other investment strategies, but it's actually a system and a tool that I think goes far beyond one Amazon, because it's so desperate need by corporates and regulators to say, we have transparent information, whether it's coming from Brazil or anywhere else in the world, of the right traceability and verification with the right certificates that say this works. So I think there'll be a series of methodologies and credits that as a corporate investor says, I mean, the One Amazon token is an investment strategy. The data concept of this is going to create a number of ripples that we have yet to know, of creating methodologies and credits that people could invest in to say, no, we are preserving the rainforest, and that's preserving carbon, and that's going to create a significant investment opportunity on the backs of the data itself. So it kind of permeates a number of different sectors.
Thank you. Actually, just to John's point, we're actually thinking of the same thing. We talked about DNA of soil and so on. We're looking at forestation, deforestation rates. We are going to be measuring plant health, soil saturation, the amount of water that's required or not. And more importantly, we're also thinking about how we can prevent people, illegal miners and poachers from actually, trying to actually deforest as well. So we're going to use sensor-based technology so we can measure the people as opposed to differentiate them from animals as well. That's something we're working on, so hopefully we'll be able to provide information on that as well.
Thank you. It's remarkable to think about it. Here in the US,
every single FDA-approved drug, nearly 25% of every single FDA-approved drug has its original compound found in a rainforest. In the Amazon rainforest, the world's largest rainforest, we have decoded less than 0.1% of its genome. So part of our deification of nature includes the understanding of the DNA of the biome of the rainforest. And what we would like to do, in partnership with the Amazonian countries, unlock this value to the market and to humanity. I'd like to mention something. A few years ago, I had the pleasure of having a meeting with the CEO of Goldman Sachs, and he basically came in and said, well, since the tulips in Amsterdam, the market has been putting price on things. With One Amazon, you're allowing us, the market, to, through a regulated mechanism, to value nature. And as John was mentioning about loggers, in communities in Ecuador, people are getting paid less than 30 cents per tree. So if you imagine a massive rainforest tree with over 200 years old, paid for being paid less than half a buck, which is just like it makes no sense. So what we want to do is to correct this market imbalance and being part through the Impact Fund, helping the locals to monetize more with the forest alive than any other economic alternative. Jaimino, AECOM has been a fundamental partner since the very beginning, and AECOM is our Pan-Amazonian program manager. That's a word that I would love, Jaime, for you to describe to everyone. What does a Pan-Amazonian program?
And the lack of tools to address them from a cross-border perspective is a big challenge. So, for instance, a lot of the illegal logging, a lot of the informal gold mining in the Amazon or a lot of the illicit crops in the Amazon, they're all cross-border challenges that today we lack the tools to address. I was talking to, and I'll explain this, and we were talking to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Peru. They want to start a 2 million hectare park. They want to start a conservation agreement with One Amazon in a 2 million hectare park that borders illegal and informal activities have taken place that are vastly destroying the Amazon. So this goes back to the objective of AECOM as the program manager. We see this as probably one of the most interesting, challenging, and most significant opportunities we have globally. And it is because it gives us the opportunity to work closely with One Amazon, with the governments, with the indigenous communities, with the private sector. Those projects and opportunities that can be unlocked should we be able to mobilize the funding from the early stage impact fund of One Amazon. And I want to emphasize the early stage, and I want to emphasize the impact. The early stage, because when you go to the Amazon and you start talking to